Hello and welcome everyone to episode 2 of We're Thinking About. And today we're going to think about something that's a little bit near and dear to all of our hearts over the last few years. And this thing is, but of course, COVID-19. Just the thought of it gives me shudders. Now, I'm not here to pick sides. I'm not here to talk about the vaccine. I'm not going to talk about everything negative that COVID-19 has brought out in society, and instead, I'm going to use COVID-19 as a vessel to understand what is going on with humanity. You see, much like most people before COVID, I was working a job. You know, I was waking up depressed, anxiety, getting to work, in general, just feeling like a slave to the system, feeling like a slave to a world that was supposed to benefit me, that was supposed to make my life easier. The whole point of me going to work was supposed to be to benefit my future, right? But then COVID happened, and well, the rest is history. Literally. You think about when it all started and everybody was fighting. You know, the toilet paper, that was the time. Toilet paper was gone, food was off the shelves. Not only all that, but there was the movie that somehow just happened to appear at the same time as COVID. I think it was called Epidemic or something along those lines, Pandemic. And it was on Netflix. And slowly over time, COVID became the only thing you heard about. From when you first woke up in the morning to when you went to bed, all you heard about were how many deaths, how many cases, how it's contagious and how it's dangerous and how COVID is a tricky subject because it was intended to divide. The vaccine passports, and all this stuff, all of these things that are creating conflict in society. You know, you just kind of have to wonder, what is the point in all the fighting? You know, you have two sides of people. One side is looking for bodily autonomy and doesn't want to be controlled, and the other side wants life just to go back to the way things were. But why don't we use COVID as a tool to see a new future? COVID, in a lot of ways, was what we needed as society. What we needed as people was a wake-up call, was something to say, hey, the way life is going, it's not working. Everyone is unhappy. Nobody wants to be working their jobs. Nobody wants to be pursuing this money, ego-driven lifestyle in a society that doesn't really care about whether or not you live or die. And you can disagree, but if we really cared about each other, do you think that when COVID was first announced that people would have been fighting in the grocery stores? Do you think if we really cared about each other, it would have been more about how can we make sure everybody is okay rather than how can I make sure I'm okay? So that begs the question of now what? Well, something like COVID was being predicted for a long time, and you can say it was manufactured, you can say it was this, you can say it was that, you can go down the conspiracy rabbit hole as deep as you would like to, as far as you would like to go into that rabbit hole, you can go. But at the end of the day, the only thing that we can do is see COVID for what it was. A wake-up call. A sign and a message to humanity saying, hey, the way things are is not working. Find another way. Well, what do you mean? How am I supposed to just find another way? I've built a career, I've worked so hard for what I do, and all of a sudden this virus comes along and you expect me to change my entire way of living? What? No. And in response to that, I kind of say, yeah. I say, yes, maybe it is time to change the way you live. Maybe it's time to realize that you don't have to wake up every morning dreading your job. You don't have to wake up every morning sad and scared and feeling like you have no control in your life, because that's where they've tricked you. Is you do have control. And by saying you don't have control, you are literally in the action of giving your control to someone else, of allowing your energy to be manipulated by another person, by another entity, by a company or a boss or an anything. But at the end of the day, you're the one in control of your energy. You're the one in control of your reality. Okay, well, if I'm not working, I'm not making money, therefore I'm gonna die. You see, this goes back to the concept that maybe the society we've been living in wasn't working. Maybe COVID was the wake-up call to say, hey, take a look at everything that's been happening over the last few years. Take a look at where life has been and how life has progressed over the last 50 years. And understand that we're at a point where we can either succumb to fear and allow COVID to control us, to take away our power, and to create conflict between one another, or We can see COVID as a means of taking the next step as society, as the people, in a way that liberates us from the mass control schemes and the schematic of a life that you never got to even choose in the first place. You see, we're truly at a crossroads as society. The best crossroads at that. A crossroads in which we can turn the page and start the next chapter in society and as the human race, where we can take everything we've learned from this COVID-19 pandemic and we can apply it to our daily lives in a way that helps us bring out the best in ourselves. We can see the anger that COVID created. Not even that it created it, the anger was already there, but COVID just enhanced it. The separation, the distance, the hatred, the left versus the right, all of these things that COVID has just made 10 times more strong. All we have to do is not give our power to COVID-19. Now, I'm not saying don't get vaccinated. I'm not saying fight. I will never spread a message of anger. I will never spread a message of hate or a message of fear. But what I will say is take the time to understand why the person across from you sees your decision as not the right one. It doesn't matter what side you're on. It doesn't matter what religion you're a part of. None of this matters. All that matters is that we're all chasing the same dream. And that's a happy, abundant, fruitful, loving, carefree, joyous, exciting life. And that's possible. That is within your fingertips at every moment in the day. So don't see COVID as the future, but instead see it as the solution. See it as the hint that something needs to change. And when we all take that hint, we as the people can finally move into the future and create a life that's better for everyone. Create a life that's just full of love. Anyways, thank you for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed that little think about on COVID-19, and yeah, just remember, there's always something good to look forward to. just about how you see it. Stay positive, stay happy. Let's work together. The future is now.